Art Fight is an art game that is played every year throughout the month of July. Participants are separated into two teams that usually follow a theme. Previous years had ones such as Sun vs. Moon, Werewolves vs. Vampires, Dream vs. Nightmare, and more, but every year brings new players who may not know how the game works. How do I join in? How do I find anything in this place? And what are the rules? Is my art even good enough to join? How do I behave? Well, if you're here, I am assuming that you want to join Art Fight this year, so this video will cover all of that and more. But first, the art for today's video. A major part of Art Fight is submitting your characters to draw, and for people to draw your characters, you must have reference sheets for them. The art for this video will be recordings of me working on new and updated reference sheets for this year's Art Fight. Now let's go. Now to start off, let's rip the bandage right off and ask, who is allowed to join Art Fight? Every year there is an artist, someone who may even be you, who is like, am I allowed to join Art Fight? Are my skills good enough? Can I make fully finished rendered pieces for people for a whole month? What if I only can manage sketches or brush drawings of people's OCs when my skill isn't good enough? I don't like my art. Everyone is going to hate it. Now imagine me. Now imagine me sitting you down in a chair. And I lean in close as I am about to deliver the wisdom that you so desperately want. You should still join Art Fight. Join Art Fight. Join it, 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 join it. Art Fight is for everyone, and anyone of any skill, so long as you're not using AI. That is not what the site is for. You could only be able to draw stick figures. I still want you to join. So go and draw my characters as a stick figure. If that is all you can draw, you can do that. I will love it. Please give me art. I want art. And I want you guys to join Art Fight. Art Fight has never been a place where only elite artists go to compete. The site is for fun and specifically to make friends and draw people some silly doodles of their characters. It's a big game that we play every year, and skill level is not a factor when signing up. There isn't an Art Fight skills level SAR who is overlooking every new member's skill to determine if they are allowed to join. Art Fight is for every artist, and you don't need to be a fantastic new top of the line artist in order to join. You just need to bring the skills that you already have. And it kills me every single year when I see artists who have never played the game before who want to join, but they're ultimately decide that they are not good enough for it. I promise you that you are good enough for Art Fight whether you've been drawing your whole life or just started today. You can join the website. There is no skill requirement. Play the game. And now that you have decided to join Art Fight, let's go on to the next subject, which is the rules. We'll also be covering etiquette and how to upload things on Art Fight later, but I believe knowing the rules first can help with knowing the rest for, what to upload, how to behave, etc. Now, I want to state that this specific video was made in 2026. Art Fight rules are changing and updating every year, and literally as I was working on the script for this video, they said they may update the rules for Art Fight 2026. And by the time of me editing the script, I have seen the updates for the rules, and we'll probably be discussing the updated version of this for this video. So there you go. That's how quickly the rules can change. So this may not entirely be exactly accurate by the time you are watching this, depending on when you are watching this. I still believe you should look at the rules before playing the game, and if you're new, regardless of when you are watching this is the one section of the video I think may become outdated. Now, granted, the rules don't change too often, and generally it's small tweaks and things, and occasionally a new addition, but most of the time they relatively stay the same. So let's go over the Art Fight rules as of May 17th, 2026. A lot of these are really straightforward, and they apply to the Art Fight Discord as well, which is a place you can join if you are into it. I'm not in it because the server is gigantic and I don't want to get into that, but if you want to join it, then you should go join it. Just go read the rules yourself, and they're on the front page of the website, so they're easy to access. So let's go over the general rules first, which includes the ones about safety on the site. You have to be 13 years or older to register on Art Fight, and you can only have one active account. This means you're only joining in the game every year on one account. Don't make two accounts just because you want to be on both teams every year. There's really no fun in that. You also can't have one account that's managed by multiple people, so if you and your friend decide to tag team a bunch of people on one Artfight account, that technically would be breaking the rules. That does not necessarily mean that if you're friends with people and you both decide to be on the same team, that would be breaking the rules. It would just be breaking the rules if you both decided to play Artfight together on one account. Don't impersonate staff members, and no hateful content or behavior on the site. This includes transphobic and homophobic views, racism, sexism, ableism, and xenophobia. This also includes using slurs of any kind, even if they are reclaimed. Sexual content is also prohibited on the site, and I won't be running through a list of what is considered against the site rules in that regard, mainly because YouTube would probably nuke this video from orbit if I did. But they do allow certain suggestive themes and attacks. Again, I won't be going over them as this video is already having YouTube knocking on my door as we speak, but a link to what is allowed under their suggestive rules can be found under Rule 5 for the General and Safety Rules section of their rules page. Fetish mining is also banned. There are minors on the site. If you know what that is, don't do that. Content illegal to decipher under US law is also not allowed on the site. The site is US hosted, so that makes sense, but they're not really clear specifically on what that means. They kind of cleared it up by the time the new updated version of the rules for 2026 came around, but it's still a little vague. So from my own research, I believe it means it's any kind of real life or photographic media that is the suggestive neighbor or promotes things that are illegal in the US, just as drug dealing with hard substances and promoting your business offsite and things like that in terms of illegal businesses. There's a tagline that says it's not post malicious or illegal stuff on Artfight, so there's that. I think that's kind of an obvious thing though for any site in general. Discussion of topics such as incest, pedophilia, bestiality, etc. are not allowed on the site as well. Remember, you are sharing this site with children, so don't assume everyone on the site is an adult, and don't be a creep if you are one. Your art must follow Artfight's filtering guides, and anything that needs to be filtered, if it was an attack, cannot be on your page. So, for example, one of the things they ask to be filtered is if you have flashing icons or things that could cause epileptic seizures. If you want your icon for Artfight to be this flashing image, they do not allow that because that would have to be filtered if it was an attack. Or anything that it can be considered suggestive or shocking, such as gore or anything like that. Those are no-nos. Artfight pages are extremely customizable, however, so you can add whatever you can code onto the page. Just make sure you're making it safe for anyone to be able to look at. Don't post anyone's personal information on Artfight, and be nice. Don't threaten people or say you're going to hurt them. DNI lists about specific users are also not allowed. However, if you do have a DNI list, you can block users who violate it, but Artfight itself will not impose your own DNI list for you. So if you got beef with the artist on Artfight, just go and block them. Artfight isn't going to go in and be like, well, these two users have beef, so we gotta deal with it personally. You really don't unless actual harassment gets involved. Artfight does allow minors to request no interactions from adults, and it allows adults to ask for no interaction from minors. However, you cannot have a DNI range starting at a specific age. The site uses the US law of anyone 18 and over is an adult and anyone under that is a minor. So if you're a new adult user who's not comfortable with interacting with minors, or a minor who is not comfortable interacting with adults, that's an option for you, but you should put it somewhere where people will see it easily, like on your front page or in your permissions. If you don't know what permissions are, don't worry, we're going to get into those later. And finally, some users will make physical goods, and if the creators offer to ship them out to you, Artfight says it claims no responsibility for any of the shipping process. It's up to you to be responsible for who you give your address to, though minors should not be giving their addresses to people online without permission from a parent or guardian. Some people will make bracelets, little figurines. There was one person makes Nandoroids. My friend Joe, he sometimes makes dice for people as Artfight attacks. That is a thing that people will do on the site, and people will offer to ship them to you. However, you just have to be careful with giving out your address to people. If you have any questions or concerns, they suggest that you contact a moderator. There are report buttons that can send a message to a moderator, and in my experience, they're pretty quick to react to reports after the first few days of Artfight when the game has started. And once the site even out a bit, they're pretty on top of finding things that go against the rules and taking it down. And that ends it for the general and safety rules, so let's talk about the upload rules and how your attack should look. It's a lot of common sense rules again, but we're mostly going to go through all of them anyway, just to clear up any possible concerns reading over them may give you. And before I dive into the rules, let's do a little terminology lesson. In Artfight, the idea is to draw the characters of members of the team opposite of the team you are on, in order to rack up points for your own team. This is called an attack. The person who you attacked can initiate something called a revenge, in which they draw something back for you, giving their team more points. Theoretically, this could go on for as long as the event is happening. When two Artfight members start revenging each other over multiple times, this is known as a revenge chain. You can also attack members of your own team in a move that's called a friendly fire, but you will only get a percentage of the points you would have gotten if you had attacked somebody on the other team. I personally don't care about the point amounts, I just like the friendly competitiveness of the game, and I love doing friendly fires to people who have OCs whose designs I really like. Now that that bit of knowledge is out of the pocket, let's continue on with the uploading rules. The first rule is no art theft. They define art theft as using any image you didn't create as an attack. This includes tracing or referencing, but I think they mean heavy referencing, like taking someone else's drawing but redrawing it with someone else's characters. Not like using a pose reference. There's been a huge discourse about this recently once they updated the rules. Personally, just to let you guys know, I don't think Artfight would have had a way of knowing if you took a pose on Pinterest, used it as a reference for your own drawing, and just use that as a reference. I don't see how they could know it unless you're like blatantly tracing over the image, but I'm just saying, I don't know how they could enforce that. Anyway, this also includes photography and 3D models that are not your own. And I want to throw that in because people actually will make 3D models of your characters as attacks. My best friend made me one for one of my OCs one year, and other people will do that too. Any AI-generated image is also not allowed on the website. AI is blanket banned, no generative AI allowed. You also cannot upload copyrighted works, so as much as you want art of the Blorbos from your shows, you are not allowed to, unfortunately. You're not allowed to upload images made with programs like Dollmaker and PitCrew as attacks, but you can allow them to be used as a reference sheet for your characters. And finally, you can't upload real-life photos of other people. You can upload real-life or drawn images of yourself, unless you're a minor, then you're not allowed to upload real photos of yourself, only drawn ones. So if you want people to draw you for an attack, you technically can have that happen. All character uploads have to be real characters and not wishlist dividers or the like. Simple characters like submitting a circle as an OC is not allowed. Attacks must be made entirely by you, and this includes bases made by both you and other people. Bases are allowed in character reference sheets, but not in attacks. Photography is allowed in attacks and character references provided it doesn't break any other rule. However, if you use a photo for the background of your attack, it has to be labeled as a attack with no background. I talk about labeling attacks later when I talk about uploading attacks. Personally, I don't understand why photography is like so belittled on this site. It's just like, I don't know if they mean it to sound to be belittling, but it sounds really belittling on the site. Just saying. I think you could do some really cool stuff with art, with like drawn art and photography, but that's just me. You technically can submit characters that are expanding AUs of any existing media, but credit the media must be given. Think like the cast of Supernatural but as warrior cats, or Steven Universe, but the events in this alternate universe you made have been changed so much that they're not as recognizable as the characters from the show they're originally from. Anything that is based on tragedy and history should not be submitted, like submitting a character who is a part of a group that has done genocide, but if you have characters set in any of those tragic times, they must be portrayed respectfully. Characters based on actual countries are not allowed due to possible stereotyping. However, if it's the personification of a fictional country, then you can upload it. So congrats, your personified version of an OC based on the lands between is allowed, but not your OC that's the personification of the country of Norway. And when you do submit your attacks, there should be clear effort made on your part. The characters of your drawing must be recognizable, respect the creator's permissions, and must not contain any unnecessary simplification of a character's design. And if you do something called a mass attack, where you attack a group of people with multiple OCs, every OC has to be credited, and those can get very long. You also could credit yourself if your OC is in the drawing if you want, but everybody else in the attack must be credited. You can't actually submit attacks of just your own OC. You gotta it's gotta have other people's characters in it. Don't be mean about the character designs you see or the art you got. I have a whole thing about this, so we'll leave it at that for now. As long as you apply the right content filters, anyone on the site can draw character they can draw character nipples, but minors are not allowed to ask for suggestive or NSFW art of their OCs. Our fight requires anything to have as labeled as extreme or suggestive to be labeled as extreme or suggestive. And again, the site has minors on it, so everything should be labeled accordingly. I feel like that's a general social media thing. I don't want to be scrolling onto Instagram and finding random porn. That's not for me. Common sense, people. And that's the set of rules that are for following the spirit of our fight. I'm gonna run through them really quick, as the next thing is going to be their particular etiquette rules, but a good portion of them will be expanded on when I personally talk about etiquette, because this doesn't necessarily cover everything that I think is the way people should act on our fight. In the spirit of our fight, all attacks should be made specifically during the art fight event. No starting early, no uploading commissions or non-art fight related art trades as attacks, and you're free to gather your roughs before the fight starts and start thumbnailing if you want to, but you're not allowed to actually start sketching them. Just stick with the brainstorming process for now. You also are not allowed to sell anything on art fight, nor sell any of the art you received. Nobody's obligated to attack you, and nobody you attack is obligated to revenge you. No collaborating on attacks, as this also is deemed as unfair. It goes back to the no two people can share one account rule. There's no point farming, which is where you make hastily made attacks that make the characters barely recognizable just for a bunch of quick points. However, if you upload multiple sketches at a time, as long as the characters are recognizable, that's allowed. Again, Art Fight doesn't judge you on your art skills, it judges you on your effort. Be nice to the opposing team. Art Fight is for fun, and being mean is not cool. Art Fight isn't going to send you an actual trophy just for winning. You can advertise your commissions on your profile page, but not if they're listed as NSFW commissions. That way, if someone wants art from you outside of Art Fight, they could commission you instead. Respect character permissions, which we will talk about more when we talk about etiquette. And finally, all attacks must be for whoever you're attacking, not for yourself. Some users will have a design me a character option posted, but one to design an OC for yourself is not allowed. Again, you are making things for people, just as people who attack or revenge you are making them for you. And so that is all of the rules. I know it's a lot, but I think a lot of them are just kind of common sense. So yeah, don't steal, don't be a jerk, play nice, and we all can have fun. But now that you know the rules, you should also know the etiquette. The Art Fight rules covers most of the stuff, but there are some parts it doesn't, and even more I want to dive into, so let's talk about Art Fight etiquette. To start, I'm going to explain what permissions are. Permissions are rules that Art Fight user can set for how someone interacts with them and with drawing their characters. There are two types of permissions you can set up for Art Fight: global permissions and character permissions. Global permissions are a blanket, hey, you are interacting with me and considering drawing my OCs, then please don't do this list of things. Here are an example of my global permissions, which are a set of rules I have with my characters. Be normal about my kid characters, don't make my fat characters skinny, and no touching my non-white characters if you plan on whitewashing them. I think my reference sheets are very clear and concise about what my characters' color palettes and body types are, so if you want to attack me, go ahead, just don't be stupid about it. Character permissions are permissions you can set for individual characters. Some people use this to ask for specific types of attacks, such as wanting people to draw two OCs together because they're a couple, or if there are exceptions to the global rules, such as if I don't have a don't draw my fat character skinny rule, but you have a fat character who has a character arc in your story where they lose weight due to depression and you're fine with them being drawn skinnier than usual, you might have that role in your character permissions, but only if it's in regards to that specific character arc. That's when you would use those character permissions. These should be located on the character's profile just above where the comments section would be, so make sure you look at them before going ahead and drawing someone's OC. Another thing I want to expand upon, wanting people to attack you. Nobody is obligated to revenge you. I think of all the attacks I do every year, less than half of the attacks I make get revenged, and I'm fine with that. I know it can feel demoralizing, especially if you have friends who get a lot of attacks, but you might need to take a step back if Art Fight is stressing you out because of it. Some people get bored of Art Fight midway through the year and stop playing. Some may have an account but don't join in for that year. You might have OCs people just can't draw, like someone who can't draw humans if all you have are human OCs, and most importantly, they just might not want to attack you and you have to be fine with it. Art Fight is a game in the end, and people can participate however they want to, not because you feel like a user owes you art. That being said, do not go on people's profiles and tell them to attack you first. I find this so annoying when someone tries to be all coy and they go on my page and they go, I love your art, I might attack you unless you attack me first. Or, you should attack me, I might revenge you. I hate it because it's not flattering and it comes off to me as just begging for free art, and in fact it makes me not want to ever attack you ever. If you really want someone to attack you, the best way to do that is to attack them first. They might attack you back, they might not. At the end of the day, that is their decision, and you can't force them to do anything. My personal rule is that I like to revenge everyone who has attacked me at least once, but I only do revenge chains with friends who are like active on Art Fight as I am. I also like to put equal or more effort into my attack than the person who attacked me first, such as if you drew me a sketch headshot, I'll probably draw you a colored torso drawing. It's my own personal rule, you don't have to follow it, but it makes me feel good about the art I put out there for others. The only exception for asking someone to attack you that is okay is if someone is asking in general for people to tell them if they want to be attacked, such as like a Discord group with a bunch of friends, if somebody wants to attack somebody but doesn't know who, things like that. Only then you can ask, but don't go up to an artist page and ask for an attack unprompted, because all it comes off as is you taking advantage of the game to get free art without showing any of the commitment of playing the game itself. Playing the game right, or don't play at all. Also, don't be an asshole about the art that you get. I've said it multiple times in this video already, but again, there are children on this website. The youngest age they allow kids on the site is 13. There are very few 13-year-olds who are this century's newest Michelangelo. You don't make fun of any of the art you get, even if you think it is quote-unquote bad art. Of course, you could get angry if the attack you get breaks the site's rules or permissions in a way you don't like, but don't be an ass because someone who just started drawing drew your OC in an art style you don't like just because you personally think it's bad. That's just really mean. I saw videos last year on TikTok back when I still had an account on the site where people were making videos talking about the bad attacks they got in the previous year and rating them. I'm telling you, I will love and cherish every attack I get as long as it doesn't break my rules, and you should too, because this is literally the free art game site and you're going to be an ass about the free art you got. What is wrong with you? I don't get it. Please draw me bad art. Also, don't be rude about people's characters if they are not breaking the rules. You will come across some upsetting designs that manage to escape the mod's attention, and you should report those ones, but don't make fun of people's characters. I don't care if you think it's generic or they look too much like Blorbos from your shows. Keep those thoughts to yourself. It's not hurting anyone, and honestly, the creator, the OC, probably doesn't need to hear it. I've seen people who would go onto people's page and be like, your character who does kind of look like Steven Universe looks just like Steven Universe, but then people see 3 characters who are red, blue, and red, blue, and green, and they'll go like, oh, is that Anna, Sasha, and Marcy from Amphibia? Like, you just don't do it. Nobody wants to hear it. Least of all the person who made the characters. And here's one piece of etiquette that I don't think of as a rule, but specifically something I like to do every year, but try to draw characters made by new users and artists. I think it's just a really nice thing to do and attack people who are new because it gives a bit of encouragement. People tend to not attack newer users because people want to be attacked back, and a new user doesn't have the years of prior commitment to show that they would revenge back. But new users are not going to want to play the game if the interaction isn't there, just like any kind of social media site. So please be nice and try to attack new users and artists. And now that we know the site rules, we know how one should act on the site, let's cover how to navigate.
So this is the Art Fight page. So here you could just basically find just about everything. If you want to find the roles in the FAQ, that stuff is down here. It shows you how it works, the site rules, the attack guide, filters guide, and the FAQ. You can find recent characters. This is where their news board is at, and as well as any featured members. And if you want to find our Discord, you could click it here, or if you are like at the top of this page, you're like, I want to join the Discord, well, they also have a button here for it. So then when you come onto this page during when the new event has started, this will usually be replaced with the new team's logo. So like last year it was Fossils versus Crystals, and there'll be this like bar up here that will show like the percentage of points on each team and which team is currently winning. They tend to close it down in like the last couple days before Art Fight happens, and like kind of keep hidden like who's winning the game at that point. But if you wanted to know like who's winning until that point, this is generally where you'll like go and look at it. If you ever need help with anything, you go up here to where it says help. This is, of course, is also where you can find like their store, because they got an online store, and here where you could discover things such as like members, attacks, characters, and stuff. We'll be going over that later, how to submit art and things. And over here, this will show you what team you're on. So since it's last year it was Team Fossils versus Team Crystals, I still have my Team Fossils information up. So this is where like your team name will be, where your username and icon are, and if you click this arrow, this will go down and show you like all of the things you could do for navigating your own personal profile stuff. And if you go and you click your team name, it should load up the information about like your team. So specifically like the members on it, recent attacks, recent characters, the battle ratio, the average attacks that are committed by each user on the team, how many users are on this team, how many attacks, friendly fires, and you can just see everything down here from different people. Oh look, there I am. But now that you are here, you could also, like actually see like where your teams are at. That's important, but also important is go into your profile.
That should get you into the site, into your profile page. Profiles can be coded to look however you want, similar to how ones used to be able to decorate their DeviantArt page before the people that own DeviantArt ruined the DeviantArt website. I generally keep my page bland and close to the default one, just because I don't have the time or the patience to teach myself HTML and do it myself. Even though I should, because I really want to make the InHarmony website prettier. But if those are skills that you have, then I say go for it. I personally don't know any tutorials on editing how your profile looks, but somebody out there has to have made a tutorial for it. But you should know how your profile works before you actually get to coding it, so let's go take a look.
So this is my page. Like I said, generally have it just kind of on the default thing for it. I have some stuff in my bio, but it's not as pretty as some other users. I just kind of prefer to keep it that way. When you come over here, this is your whole managing bar. We'll go more into it later, but we specifically want to go into like specifically want to go into like the settings area, because this will generally let you like do your permissions and things like that. You could go ahead and you can upload a new icon, change your site's theme. So I have it on dark fight, but there's also light fight. So generally when you do it, it looks like this, but I hate that. It hurts my eyes, so I keep it on this, which is, in my opinion, it looks a lot nicer. And you can also go to like visibility. You could go to like your personal like content image filter, so you could decide to see what you want to have hidden, what you want to have censored. Your security one, which I'm not going to click on for obvious reasons. But that will have your password changing information, stuff with your email, your two-factor authentication changing, your username, all of that security crap. Then you can also go to like profile customization. That will allow you to decide things such as like you know, if you want to show stuff from your website. So like I have my usernames for all of the social medias that I enjoy using a lot and want people to follow me on. This is where I put my profile description. This is also if you want to disable comments, or if you want to hide your last seen status, just like, you know, things like that. And then if you go over to character permissions, this is where you could put up those like global character permissions. So for example, like I said, these are my global permissions I have here. So whenever I want to add something else for all my characters, then I just go in here to edit it. So that way I can just like do it really quick there. When we get to uploading characters, I'll talk more about character permissions specifically, but that's not that for now. This will show you the people that you follow and the people who follow you, your account information, your contribution history, which this will have like information about like money stuff, which yeah. And then this will have your block list, which I actually have not blocked anybody on Artfight. And then, of course, account deletion and download data, just things like that. Of course, now that you know how to find your page, let's talk about actually finding characters, which you would find in this discovery bar up here. This allows you to go to the discovery home, which is this whole page. We'll take a look at that in a second. Search for users, characters, and attacks, but you can also browse members, attacks, characters, random users, and go through attack search. So in this page, you could discover users such as users with high battle ratio or new users. You go down to characters for similar like stuff such as random characters, random users, and you can discover people just by their attacks on the discovery homepage. If you want something specific, you can just always go up here. So for example, oh, I have a friend who uses Artfight and I want to look them up. You can just go down here and just like go type in their name. So I'm looking at my best friend's username. I'm gonna go search for him, and this is his page, and it'll pull it up and I can just click on it and go see his overall page. And if you want to go up here, you can search for characters. So if you want a character whose name is Alex, for example, you go search it up. And here's a list of characters who have the name Alex on their page. If you wanted to search up attacks, you can just go ahead and, I don't know, let's go with Fred. Let's see how many attacks have the name Fred in it. Go look it up. And here are all the attacks that have the name Fred in it. So that's just generally how you could do it in that way. You can also find characters based on tags. So when you upload a character, you can add tags to it. So these are just like suggested ones. I'm going to go with, why not? Let's keep the trend going. I'm gonna go look up Steven Universe and see how many Steven Universe characters are on this. And lo and behold, I could find a bunch of Steven Universe OCs. So that's generally how you could go look for characters, if there's a specific user you want to find, and just like anything else in general. But now you may be asking me, okay, it's cool that I could find other people's characters, but what about uploading my own? I want other people to find my OCs too. And you don't have to worry about that because that's what I'm going to show you now. So, this is the submit button. This is where you will go when you want to submit your attack, as well as when you want to submit your character. As you can see, the attack option is not there. That option disappears when Artfight is not currently in session. You can still submit characters when the game is not being, like, you know, when the game's not happening, but you can't actually submit an attack when the game is stopped. So if you ever have a situation where somebody has attacked you and you tried revenging them, but you couldn't revenge them before the event ended, you can always save that revenge as like your first attack for next year. I'll generally like I'll revenge people. I've only had it happen like once or twice, but I'll like revenge somebody from last year as like my very first attack, and I'll say like this is a revenge from last year, and sometimes they'll attack me back again and sometimes they won't. But we're gonna actually focus now on submitting a character. So when you go to the submit section, you want to click character and it will pull up this page. I'm going to go actually submit a OC of mine named Dees. He is a character from Ascendo who I made last year, and he's got so many issues. So I already copied his whole profile because I just like, you can already see the tab up here, but I just updated his Toy House page specifically for this. So this is where you would put your information for your character. You could pretty it up, you don't have to. They actually went and they changed the layout. This is the new layout for it. You could put credits. So credits, it's like, did you design this character? Obviously, yeah. Is there a species sheet? So if somebody else has like an original species that you made an OC based off of, you can link it. And so when you hit yes, you could put the name and the URL for it. Dees is sort of human, so that's not going to be the case. And then additional credits, such as like if other people made it. This is my 100% my OC, do not steal, so I am not going to do that. Now they have a section for permission to use for images, so if you created the image you're using as your main image in your thumbnail, you hit yes, and if not, then you have to credit that person, especially if it's somebody on Artfight. In which case you could, like, if they're not on Artfight, you can put their name and their URL. If they are, you can put their username on Artfight. But if this image needs to be content filtered, you could put in it needs to. This is where you could get to those options to content filter it. I don't think I have OCs for that, but I have had attacks where I had needed to put content filters in the past. So for main image, we're gonna put Deesa's ref sheet, and then for his thumbnail, we're gonna put his thumbnail image. Now you could technically like upload an image and then crop it, but if you want to use the whole image like I want to, you just take out the cropping tool and it'll use the whole image. So you won't have to go and like worry about like resizing it. Just untap the crop tool and it won't crop it. Now this is where you would put character permissions. If you like have specific permissions with him, with your characters, you can. I kind of technically do with this guy, so I'm just going to just go type him here now. Okay, so then you have your character permissions specifically just for your one character. External links, I have his toy house, and I have a rule where I want people to put their like toy house links. So here, also my keyboard does not have the accent thing for his name, which is very annoying of me of deciding to give him a name that has a little accent in it. Because I have to manually go do that. There you go. And then for any tags, he's a personal project character, so I don't really have any tags for him. But if he was like a fan OC, I would tag the fandom he's from, like my JoJo Bizarre Adventure OC Nenzia, who's still on here, and things like that. And if this character needs content filters, if they need content filters, you would hit yes, and hit that, and then no if they don't. This is specifically just for the ref sheet, not for like the character in general. This is for if your character has a lot of like gore and stuff to the profile, which his does not, even though I did put like yes, you could draw him with gore. And then you just hit submit your character. And then this is what this page looks like. So here's his ref sheet, and it comes off like that. If I had more images uploaded, this would still look like this. It wouldn't look like this, but this would be what I would click on if I wanted to get back to this image. This is where I could go look at attacks that people drawn of him. I go down and you can see my like specific character images. You can see my global permissions, and then people could comment if they like my OC and they want to like, you know, look at it and talk about like, oh, your OC's so cool. And then this number, so as you can see, like where I hover it, it says this is the character's ID, which is needed when submitting an attack involving this character. That's the number you would like click, and it'll copy it, and you would paste it where it asks you for the character ID number for the character you're attacking. And so that's how R-Fight links attacks to characters.
Now you made your page, uploaded your OCs, and you found characters you want to draw, but now comes the fun part. How do I upload an attack or a revenge? Unfortunately, I can't show you that visually in this video, as the option to submit attacks disappears when the game is not currently playing. However, I will link this tutorial I found if you want a visual representation on how to submit an attack. I am going to run down what I remember from submitting an attack and explain what these options are and what they mean, and hopefully do a good job of it. Just go watch that video though if this still is confusing to you. Submitting an attack and revenge is similar to submitting a character, but with a couple of different options. You can upload the attack and maybe even a thumbnail for it, but then there are also the option for the character ID number and the person who's attacking's username. The username is so whoever you're attacking knows you attack them, and the character ID number is so the site can compare your character attack with the character you drew. When you finish uploading your character, you probably notice the string of numbers next to their name. That is your character's ID number. Every character gets one, and the site makes it very easy to just put that ID number into the section you need it in. Just click the number and you instantly copy it. Paste it into where that ID number needs to go, and there you go. You have it all ready and set up. Just make sure that once you put on the information such as username and the character ID number, you hit the submit button, so that way it registers that you put them in there and it can look them up and check to see if you got the information in right. Now if you're doing a revenge, there will be an option that will come up that says revengeable attacks right under the person you're attacking's username. You click and see if the name of the attack you got comes up. Click it and it will set your attacks as a revenge for that attack instead of doing a new attack. This is important for reasons I will explain soon. Now you can add a fun description on the attack as well as any needed filters, but on the lower right side is the important part for specifically tallying up the points you get in an attack. This is where you can label how much effort you put into a piece. Now when I mean effort, I don't mean skill. In this case, I would consider someone who has 20 years of drawing experience doing only a quick sketch as a person who has put less effort into their attack than a newbie artist who started last week but made a fully rendered detailed attack for someone. Effort in this case means how much work you put into an attack. I know some people sketch slow and that can take a while, but sketching, coloring, shading, highlighting, lining, adding to a background, rendering the background as well also takes quite a bit of time. So Artfight measures effort and what kind of attack you did rather than what kind of skill level you have. So let me show you some old attacks I did last year and the labels I remember giving them, and I'll give you an idea of the options that are there as well as how you could label your own attacks. This would have been considered a full body, clean color drawing with no background. This would have been considered a full body, fully rendered, polished drawing with a background. This would have been a half body, fully rendered, polished, animated piece with a background, because guess what? You can upload animated attacks as well. I made animated videos for my friends as Artfight attacks in previous years before, and if you're a crafts person, you can make people crafts as well. Not every attack needs to be drawn. Now when the attack is uploaded, on the bottom you can see the information about the attack you submitted, how many points you earned, and the creator of the character and what team they are on. And if your piece is a revenge, it will link it to the attack you're submitting a revenge for. This is especially useful if you're doing a revenge chain with someone. Click back to see the number of revenges you have done and go, oh my god, we've been fighting. And finally, one last fun thing to note, at the end of the year when your team has come out victorious, you will get a little trophy. So in the Artfights to come, you can look back at your accomplishments and boost your ego. And don't be sad if you lose, because statistically, the losing team is also the team that gets the most art. So even if you don't get that trophy or the bragging rights, you will now have various decorations or maybe even knickknacks of things people made of your characters. And I think that's a good thing. Remember, in the end, Artfight is a game and we're all here to have fun. And if you're not having fun, you may need to take a step back. But I hope you will have fun, and I hope this will be a very enjoyable first experience for you if you were watching this because you are new to Artfight. So go out there, draw, and kick some ass. And that does it for this video. I hope you all learned something from Artfight and that this guide is helpful to any new user who wants to join Artfight this year. And if you've been playing the game for a while, then maybe you learned a thing or two as well. I'll be on Artfight this year, mostly doing revenges, but I'll do an attack or two if my queue is empty. I started a new full-time job and I've been so busy with the bugs, but I do make time every year for Artfight, so come play with me. If you like this video, then consider liking and subscribing. I'm trying to get monetized on this channel, and your support puts us one step closer to that goal. And also, while you're here, consider checking out my webcomic In Harmony. At the time of me posting this video, I should be completely done with drawing all the pages for Chapter 4, with the end of the chapter being in June, just before Artfight starts. Consider checking it out and reading it. I have a lot of characters up on the site already. Reading my webcomic can help you learn more about them, so go ahead and check them out. Read my webcomic, I love it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye!